Sorry?
Are you using a Mac? I think it's because you all are using a Mac. Don't you all have actually I don't know. But all I know is yesterday they used a Mac and it was the same problem.
But is it okay with you? Sure.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, still be fine. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Okay?
Hey, got do the diagram.
Hang on, ah. Okay. Take a deep breath. 1, 2, 3, go.
Good morning, Ms. Sachnani and senior management team. I'm Emmanuel from the business development team here in Brown House, and I'm here today to share with you my business expansion plan into the Middle East. I will just be taking about 15 minutes of your time if you do not mind. Allow me to, but before we dive into the presentation proper, allow me to share with you a story about McDonald's. I mean, as we all know, McDonald's is a popular multinational fast food restaurant that's renowned globally. Well, McDonald's is probably the reason why I'm this size today. But actually, I want to point out the fact that before I worked here in Brown House, I actually worked in McDonald's business development team, where I helped them expand their franchise into places like Abu Dhabi in United Arab Emirates. Founded in 1940, after finding success, McDonald's soon ventured their franchise globally, and since then, their global expansion has taken the world by storm. Even in Singapore, you can take a bus down, and within 5 stops, you'll probably end up in the McDonald's itself. This is just a testimony of how massive their global expansion has been. So what does this have to do with us, Brown House, and the expansion into the Middle East? At this point, we cannot compare to McDonald's just yet. I mean, we are a far newer business, having only 13 years in the industry. But within these 13 years, we've expanded into 31 outlets in 9 cities, and this small step to global influence is no small part of the management's effort in establishing Brown House globally. Actually, if you come to think of it, there are some similarities between Brown House and McDonald's. I mean, both companies have set their eyes on financial prosperity. Also, both strive to establish their product and service globally. But the most significant similarity between Brown House and McDonald's are their respective management's will to expand their business. So my hope for today's presentation is that Brown House can venture into the Middle East and further establish global influence. So today, for the outline of my presentation, I've broken it down into 5 parts, and I've acronymed it BROWS. Get it? Okay, so for B, I'll be talking about some business opportunities for us when venturing into the Middle East. For R, how we're going to replicate Brown House Singapore when doing so. O, for operational aspects in the Middle East. And lastly, and for W, where and when to expand in the Middle East. And lastly, some spending that we will have to do in this venture. For the business opportunities that I will be mentioning, they will be long-term ones. So, after meticulous research, I've concluded that the United Arab Emirates, also known as the UAE, is the best country for us to venture into. The UAE's economy is expected to grow by 4% in 2017, and their growth is spurred by their country's growing investment attractiveness, with a view to achieve numerous accomplishments in national economic indicators. UAE also plans to maintain their strength in economic growth through their oil sector. This means that the UAE population will start to have a higher standard of living due to their increased spending power. And what this means for Brown House is that with the population of UAE having such a high financial spending power, this will lead them to be more willing to be spending in our outlets due to their economic prosperity, and eventually increase profitability for Brown House. The second business opportunity would be the taste and preferences of Middle Eastern women. Middle Eastern women are some of the most beauty-conscious people in the world, but not in a materialistic way. This can be derived from their conservative backgrounds, where they have to cover up most of their skin due to religious reasons. But the only parts of their skin that can be revealed are their eyes. Thus, Middle Eastern women are willing to spend a lot of money to ensure that the area between their nose and their forehead is flawless, and thus a constant demand for beauty boutiques in the Middle East. Thus, with Middle Eastern women being so beauty conscious, what this means for Brown House is that once setting up in the Middle East, there will be a constant demand for our products and services, and this can result in increased revenue for Brow House. This can be further supported with the numerous beauty bloggers in the Middle East. Just to name a few, Aisha Ramadan, Tala Saman, and Huda Katan. With the 2 points mentioned, it is vital for us to venture into the Middle East as soon as possible due to the growing competition in the beauty industry. If we do not act soon and start up our outlets quickly, the economic prosperity of the UAE will start to be a disadvantage, as the market share in the beauty industry will start to be diluted. Also, the demand for the beauty boutiques by these Middle Eastern women will start to be satisfied by the influx of beauty salons. I mean, there's already been a scene of growth in numbers of beauty salons in the Middle East. Just to name a few, locally there's Annabelle Beauty Salon and Pastel Salon. There have also been foreign boutiques that have ventured into the UAE, like Brow Studio from the USA and Absolute Beauty Salon from Northern Ireland. Thus, if we do not act soon, these business opportunities can be gone in an instant. Now, how are we going to replicate Brow House Singapore when doing this venture? We will be using 2 key performance indicators, mainly profitability and liquidity. So for profitability, Brow House outlets in Singapore average about $5.4 million annual sales. And after lessing off some of our costs, we end up with an annual profit of $1.3 million for Brow House outlets in Singapore. This shows our strong ability to control costs as well as a high profit margin of 45%. Next, about liquidity. It can be seen that our current assets heavily outweigh our current liabilities, with the former being about $456,000 and the latter being about $141,600. This shows our strong liquidity position and having a high current ratio of more than 3:1. So now about operational aspects. So to abide by the legal systems in the UAE, a foreign company that wants to establish their business will either have to set up as a limited liability company or a free zone entity. So a limited liability company can be compared to a joint venture in that the foreign company enters into a relationship with a UAE-owned company to carry on their business. So the foreign company can then legally own only 49% of the business, while the local partner can own 51%. So, thus it is important for us to find a corporate sponsor in UAE in order to carry on our venture. And thus, after detailed research, I feel that Emirates Airlines and Groups is the most suitable corporate partner for us. They are an established airline company that has a strong brand. They also help foreign businesses set up their companies in the UAE as their corporate sponsor. They are the corporate sponsors for one of the world's biggest football teams, Real Madrid. They are also the corporate partners of other sports teams and businesses in the arts and culture industry. As our corporate sponsor, they can help us with some administrative aspects, like getting our products halal certified, helping us with employee law, corporate tax, and also permits and licenses to operate a beauty boutique in the Middle East. Another form of partnership for my expansion plan would be a marketing partnership, and I feel that Huda Beauty is the best marketing partner for us. They are the #1 beauty blog in the Middle East, led by their CEO, Huda Katan, the Middle Eastern beauty influencer. I do not want to brag, but I know Huda Katan herself, as we have worked on a marketing partnership when I worked in McDonald's, when McDonald's was venturing into Abu Dhabi. And I feel that this personal relationship of ours can definitely come in handy when discussing a partnership with Huda Beauty. And since we are in the era of social media, thus having an e-business partner like Huda Beauty will be essential. They are on various social media platforms, like on Instagram, where they have over 20 million followers. They are also on Twitter and Facebook, and even on YouTube, where they post videos where they have up to about 1.9 million subscribers. We can then use this to differentiate our product. Another idea is also to develop a beauty package with Huda Beauty, using their makeup products accompanied with our eyebrow services. Now, where and when do we venture? So we'll be planning to venture 5 outlets all in the UAE. So firstly, spreading over an area of 800 hectares, accommodating to 12,000 residents, composed of 485 buildings, embraces Dubai International City. Dubai International City offers residential buildings within business, retail, and tourism complex. Setting up Brow House here will be advantageous as it is Dubai's up-and-coming central business district area and home to over 12,000 residents. This outlet can then serve the upper class of the Dubai population due to its strategic location. Our second outlet will then be in downtown Dubai, where it is home to one of Dubai's largest landmarks, like the Burj Khalifa, Dubai Mall, and Dubai Fountain. Downtown Dubai is also familiar and convenient to the general Dubai population, and thus this outlet can serve more the middle class of the Dubai population due to its convenience and familiarity. The third outlet will then be Dubai International Airport, the primary international airport serving Dubai. It is the world's busiest airport in terms of international passengers and third busiest airport in terms of passenger traffic. They also host many connecting flights between the east and the west of the world. Thus, this Brow House outlet can then serve the expatriates traveling in and out of Dubai. For our fourth and fifth outlet, we hope to venture into Abu Dhabi, the capital city of the UAE. And for our fourth outlet, we hope to venture into downtown Abu Dhabi to serve a wide variety of customers. And our fifth outlet in Al Marai Island to serve one of the most wealthiest people in Abu Dhabi and potentially UAE. Our expansion will be a 3-year expansion timeline, having our first 2 outlets in Dubai set up in January 2018, and our third outlet for Dubai International Airport being set up in January 2019, and the last 2 outlets in Abu Dhabi set up in January 2020. So, now spending. Based on our $20 million budget, I've came up with a rough budget for this expansion. So, with our $20 million budget, expanding into 5 outlets, this means about $4 million per outlet. And this is the rough breakdown of the budget per outlet. So, as you can see, in this pie chart, most of our budget will be allocated to the purchase of long-term assets as well as operational costs. So, to financially justify why this investment is sound, I've utilized the investment return period method. So with an initial investment of $4 million, we will be suspecting an average annual profit of $1.3 million for over the next 5 years. This will mean we'll get our investment back in 3 years, and this shows, and this is very beneficial to Brow House, as the 4th year onwards, we will start seeing our profits pile up. And this is much better in comparison to Audi, the German car company, that took 50 years to get back their initial investment when they ventured into China. So, just to summarize this presentation, when venturing into the UAE, we can capitalize on business opportunities like economic prosperity in the UAE and the taste and preferences of Middle Eastern women. We will also base it off Brow House Singapore's key performance indicators, having annual profits at least above 1.3 million and current ratios of at least 3. Also, business partnership with Huda Beauty in the marketing sector, and having Emirates Airlines and Group as our corporate sponsor. We also want to expand into the UAE within 3 years, having 3 outlets in Dubai and 2 outlets in Abu Dhabi. Having a budget of $20 million as well, most of the costs being attributed to operational costs and the purchase of fixed assets. And lastly, this investment is definitely financially sound, as within 3 years, we'll get back our initial investment. So before I conclude this presentation, I want to open up this time to anyone who has questions that they would like to ask me about this presentation.
Fantastic presentation. Gentlemen, questions?
Thank you for your presentation. It's indeed very engaging and insightful. However, you mentioned that for the financial aspects of expanding to the Middle East, the operational cost will take roughly 44% of the budget. So is there any ways that we can reduce the operational cost upon our expansion?
That's a great question. If you allow me to go back to the slide on the budget, I've actually allocated at your far right that reserve funds I've allocated 500,000 to it in case of any contingency issues that we may face. But the reason why I put such a high amount for operational costs is it encompasses many things, from overhead costs to the salaries that we have to pay our employees. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Andrew, how about yourself?
Yeah, I love your presentation. Thank you. I see a lot of effort in it. Okay, you mentioned about how conservative women in Middle East are, and they are willing to spend a relatively huge amount on their facial appearance. Is there any special or customized service that can be used in the Middle East?
Yeah, I've been actually thinking about this issue, and I feel that, yeah, definitely. I mean, they place significant emphasis on how their eyebrows has to be thick and just really very in shape. So we can look into that when venturing into the Middle East.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions?
Before I give you a question, I would like to commend you for your presentation. I think your slides, a lot of effort to your slides, and I thoroughly enjoyed the presentation. My question is, you mentioned that you'll be setting up 3 outlets in the UAE, right?
5 outlets in the
Five outlets in the morning, sorry. 5 outlets in the UAE. But have you ever considered setting up outlets in different part of the Middle East regions, such as in Saudi Arabia, where it's currently the most fastest growing beauty industry in the Middle East?
Yes, I've actually thought about that, but the reason why I actually focus these first 3 years on expanding into the UAE is to gain a strong foothold in UAE, one of the most economically prosperous countries in the Middle East, before venturing out into places I've been thinking, Doha in Qatar, and even into places like Saudi Arabia. Yeah, so I hope that answers your question.
Floor is yours. I don't have any questions.
Okay. Sorry, allow me to get back to my last slide. So if there are no further questions, allow me to wrap up this presentation. My hope is that we can do this together and see Bra House grow as one. To make this work, your part of this journey will be to finance this investment, and my part will be to deliver the results. Let me end off this presentation on a quote by the founder and CEO of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. The biggest risk is not taking any risk. In a world that's changing really quickly, the only strategy that is guaranteed to fail is not taking risk. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, well done. Next one up, can go and prepare. Emmanuel has a really good presentation. Okay, I was quite impressed. I thought the questions you guys asked also made sense. Just a couple of things I wanted to point out, or I wanted to get clarity on. I know you were using the principle of authority, principle of social proof, right?
No,
Then
I was trying to use like the first part I was saying how, yeah, I use authority. I use liking by saying that the small step into global influence is like,